Heidi ho neighbors, Rado Goji here, and welcome to Squeeze the World Toys. And today, we're going to be continuing our look at the Kamen Rider ZO RKF Armor Rider series with the Fourze armor. It looks like a big old rocket, doesn't it? Well, that's because Kamen Rider Fourze, that's the Kamen Rider what looks like space and likes friendship and stuff. It's the one from 2011. It was actually the last Rider show I mostly watched before I kind of fell off the tokusatsu wagon for not because I didn't like it or anything, but other reasons at the time. I still never finished it. I would like to at some point, but I just don't have the time right now to do so. But someday I will. Someday I will. Okay, so unlike the armor that we've seen so far, like the build and the X8 armor, which normally can store as standing suits of armor that don't like to hold together very well, Fourze's armor does kind of store in this rocket shape, which actually does hold together very well. These side parts, which are removable, are actually held on with 4 pegs, and these are held on with pegs as well. It's also it's very compact, very sturdy. We've got the obvious face mask here with the katakana for Fourze written on the eyes, like we have been seeing. One thing I do want to note is that these fins, while they do hold in very well, I have found that they can come out. Mine wasn't boxed particularly well by the manufacturer. And when I was taking parts out, I noticed that I think it was either one of these. Actually, I think it was this one here. This fin was actually out and loose in the packaging that it came in, so I had to kind of push it back in, which was fine. These boosters do come off as well. They can come off as well because they're also held in with friction. It's kind of like a lot of Gunpla models I have, where you have these kind of booster sections on there that you have to kind of push on, and they can come off very easily. These don't come off as easily, but they do come off, more easily than the fins do at the very least. Now, one other complaint I do have is this kind of nose cone up here. You can tell that there's kind of a gap there, and that's because of how some of the hinges are, because this opens up. Sometimes it can come together, well enough like this. This is like the best I can get to come together with, and it's fine for me like this. It looks the part, but there are times where because one of these joints back here, or one of these little hinges, is really tight, like to the point where it creaks sometimes when you try to manipulate it. And unless you manipulate it in a certain way, like these two parts can, at least on mine, be in such a position where they don't even come together. So that's kind of a bummer. But with some patience, I have been able to get it back into its normal rocket form. Now, for equipping the Fourze armor, we first need our ZO figure, or a Gates figure if you have one as well. I'll get to that later. I already have the removable parts removed from the figure, and we're just going to take off this front section. It is pegged vertically into the obviously Jiku driver there, and then this will actually come apart as well to make basically our leg parts. The panel here will swing up like this and then down, so that the basically as far as the knee is concerned, this white part is going to be sort of kind of in front of the black part. And just do the same thing with the other one. Then we're going to take these big side rockets off. They come off easily enough. And then this back booster here is going to swing up on a bar. It's kind of like a double hinge bar, and that's going to peg in place. The nose cone part of the rocket is going to open up. So this is the side that can open up pretty much effortlessly, but this is the side. They actually decided to be quiet here, but that's the one with the really tight joint. Just kind of bring the mask back to make some room. Now, this is going to slide over the figure head first, like so. And then there are also 2 pegs on the inside that plug into holes in the back. Sometimes it can take a bit to just line everything up right. So I may have to jump cut this. Okay, there we go, I got it all lined up and such, and then just fold that down so that everything just kind of lines up like this. Oh, there's a creaking there. The leg parts are going to hook on via this this hole up in the thigh, because there's a peg on the inside of the black part, and that's just gonna only peg onto the one hole and then just sit like this. So it's not covering up like his whole leg like the other armors have done. Same thing with the other side here. And then these larger rockets are going to fit over the arms, much like other armor pieces do. There's the tab on the inside. Just make sure that they line up with the proper forearms. And there isn't like a handle he has to grab onto like with the X8 armor or anything like that. The rockets kind of extend past his hands and just kind of give him, you know, big, longer rocket parts. And then the mask part is just kind of like on this arm that will go up over his head and then slide that into place. And here we have Kamen Rider ZO Fourze armor, and this looks pretty awesome. I dare say this is probably my favorite out of the armors so far. Nothing is really fiddly about it. I mean, sometimes like the leg parts can kind of slide out of the holes a little bit, but it really isn't that big a deal. They fit in well enough for, you know, most of the play. It looks really cool, and I also really like the how the silver and purple designs here, or pink designs, or whatever you want to. Is it pink or purple? It's pink, whatever. The silver and pink there is kind of an extension of the shoulder pads that he normally has on his regular suit. My only little quibble with it is the fact that, unlike the other armors that have like the dual boot thing, it doesn't give him as much stability. I mean, he can still stand okay, but I just, you know, I'm always a little bit paranoid that it's going to be a little bit easier to knock over. But those fears are pretty unfounded because, like I said, as you even saw there, you know, he can still stand just fine. That's just my paranoidness. Now you can also have the armor in its rocket mode while it's on ZO, much like it did in the show, because he actually turned it into its rocket mode for a finishing attack. And all you really got to do is just kind of put it back together the way it was, like the same configuration it was in. Yeah, just for the record, this is what it looks like when it doesn't want to line up properly. Okay, that's good enough for right now. Anyway, all you got to do is just sort of put it back into its rocket formation while the figure is still inside it, and that's, you know, easy enough to do because you have plenty of clearance. I mean, as long as like his arms are to the sides like this, you have plenty of clearance to you know, put everything back together the way it's supposed to go. So just take the leg parts off as well. Just kind of put his arms to the sides like that. Reattach the rockets to those pegs there. Sorry, I jump cut that bit. I had to bring the figure closer to my face so I could make sure everything was lining up properly. And just put the leg parts back the way they were and connect them, like so. And then just peg that back under the belt where it was. And this is the way the armor looks for his tailspin kick mode. Overall, I really don't like this mode as much. It just looks like you shoved him up a rocket. I guess that's the point they were going for, but even when he does the kick thing, it kind of goes backwards at the monster, so I'm really not a fan of that. I'll just jump cut him back real quick. So yeah, despite the fact that I don't particularly care for that secondary mode, the main equipped mode looks absolutely awesome, and yeah, definitely my favorite out of the armors we've seen so far. Now, the other kind of downside I would see, I mean, it's not really a downside for me, but if you have a Kamen Rider Gates figure and you want to use the Fourze armor with Gates, it is fully compatible and it will, you know, fit over him. Basically, Zio and Gates have basically the same figure with some details here and there changed a bit, and this, you know, so this will fit over Gates. However, there is not a special faceplate for Gates. There's only the ZO one. I have seen pictures of Gates wearing this. They even have pictures of Gates wearing this on the actual, you know, box art and everything like that. But when all is said and done, if you want to put this on the Gates figure, you can. Just be aware that you're not going to be able to be. It's not going to be, you know, fully compatible with him as far as aesthetics go. Yeah, I really like this. Totally recommend it, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of these ZO armors in the future. So until then, I've been Rado Goji, and I'll be here next time. Join me, won't you?